Hello, artists. Today, we're going to be creating a landscape using markers to draw different kinds of lines. We want to try to use at least 3 different kinds of lines in our artwork. Now let's get started. I'm going to begin by drawing the foreground. Remember, the foreground is the part of the image that looks the closest to us. I'm going to start by drawing that at the bottom. And I'm going to pick out a marker. I think my foreground is going to be water, so I'm going to pick the color blue, but what you choose is up to you. Because I'm drawing water, I'm going to think of what kind of line makes sense. I think I'm going to draw a wavy line to show the water. Now I want to make sure that my line starts on one edge of the paper and goes all the way to the other side. So I'm going to start with that wavy line. You can do a different kind of line, but think about what you're drawing. And I'm going to fall right off the page. Now remember, this part is my foreground. It's the closest to me. Now I'm going to draw the middle ground. I'm going to add some hills here behind the water. I'm going to pick a new marker color. I think I'm going to choose black for my new color, and I'm going to add some hills. Now, I want my composition, my artwork, to look really interesting. So instead of starting my middle ground line all the way over on the side, I think I'm actually going to come to the top of the line that I drew for my foreground, and I'm going to draw my line this way, going off the side of the page. So touching the top of my line, my hill is going to be gently curved lines that go off the side. And I'm just drawing one line for now. That looks good. I'm going to add another layer of hills next going this direction that are a little bit farther away in the middle ground. And I'm going to pick a new color. We want to make sure each of our lines get their own color. I think I'm going to use brown for my next line. Now this time I'm going to touch the top of this line and I'm going to send my hills going off that direction. Because I'm drawing more hills, I'm going to use gently curved lines again, going off the side. Now, I want to add some mountains in the background. Remember, the background is the part that's further away from us, and I'm going to pick a new color. I think I'm going to get gray. Now, because I'm drawing mountains, I'm going to think about what kind of line makes sense to draw mountains. I want to make sure that by the end of my artwork, I've got 3 different kinds of lines. So, I've got a wavy line. I have gently curved lines. I'm going to try a new kind of line by doing some zigzags. Now, because these are mountains, they're going to be big zigzags instead of little ones. I think I'll start my mountains somewhere over here, touching the top of that middle ground line, and then zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag. Now I have all the parts of my land, but I also want to add a sky. I'm going to add a sun to my sky and maybe 1 or 2 clouds. So for my sun, I'm going to make a choice to use, I think, yellow. I'm going to draw the circle for my sun, and then I'm actually going to draw one more line around that. I'm going to switch to orange because these are going to be like the sunshine rays that come out. You'll see more why we're going to do that in a second. So add your sun or moon to the sky. Start with one circle with one color and then another circle around that in a different color. Now I'm going to add some clouds. I'm going to add some straight lines for the bottom of my cloud. just like that. And then on top, I'm gonna do a hopping line. So I'm gonna touch the corner and go hop, hop, hop. And then my last hop is gonna come back down to touch the other corner. Hop. And I think I'll add another cloud over here. I'm gonna start with a straight line. So I've got lots of different kinds of lines. Now, if your cloud runs into the mountain, just stop as soon as you hit another line. But I've got some space. So I'm gonna touch the corner, hop, 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 hop back down to touch that line. Okay, now I have all of the parts of my landscape, but it's time for me to start filling in my landscape. And to do that, I'm not gonna color in, I'm actually gonna use more lines. We're gonna start down here in the foreground and work our way up. So looking at my foreground, I used blue, which means I'm gonna get my blue marker back and use it again. So you're gonna match the same color that you started with for the foreground. I'm gonna come underneath that first line, and whatever kind of line you drew, we're gonna take a tiny bit of space and we're gonna follow along and try to create the same line again, just a little bit further away. So I'm gonna come down, leave a little space, and do the best I can to follow along with the same shape that I drew before. So if I started with a wavy line from my foreground, I'm gonna do another wavy line with the same color. I'm gonna take some space coming down, and I'm gonna do the same thing again. Wavy line. Now, if I run into my line, that's okay, no big deal. I'll show you if I make that little mistake. I'm gonna try to keep space, but if when I'm following along, if I accidentally, run into my line, that's okay. I'm just gonna find a spot to start again and do the best I can to follow along. If my lines get a little bit closer together or a little bit further away, that's okay. Now, do you notice I started over here, and then when I was curving down, I kind of ran out of room, so I just let it fall off the page. That's okay. I'm gonna imagine, where would my wavy line come back? Right about here. Curving down, curving up, curving down, curving up, curving down, curving up, as long as I have space. When I run out of space, I'm gonna imagine, where would that wavy line be? And I'm just gonna fill in those little spots with the same kind of line, trying to leave some space. Once I've done all of my lines for my foreground, I'm gonna go to my middle ground. I remember I drew this part next, which means that's what I'm gonna do next. Look at the color I used. I used black, so I'm gonna get black again. Now, just like with my foreground, I'm gonna be following along the line that I drew, trying my best to copy. So I'm gonna take a little bit of space because my line started by touching the top of my foreground line, that blue line. I'm gonna take a little bit of space and do the best I can to follow along, just like that. So following along, doing the best I can. Remember, if they run into each other or get a little bit further apart, that's okay. I'm just doing my very best. It's kind of like I'm drawing a rainbow. So I just want to make sure that I keep touching that line every time, taking a little space. And then if I run into another line, I stop. I imagine where it goes through on the other side, pick it up until I run into another line, skip it, and keep going. Okay, that part of my middle ground is all done. Now it's time for my other hills. I'm gonna do the same thing. touching wherever that line overlaps. I'm going to find where they touch. I'm going to take a little bit of space and follow along the same line, doing my best to keep my curves the same. Or if you're drawing a zigzag line, your zigzag's the same. But I'm trying to just keep copying my lines. Take a little space, follow along, and it's starting to look pretty cool. Following along, following along. Now here's one of those spots where I'm going to start to run into my other lines. That's okay. I just stop when I hit a line and imagine where would that curve through on the other side, and I pick it up. Stop when I hit the line, stop when I hit the line, stop when I hit the line, just like that. And I'm going to keep this going until all of my land is done. Now, remember, my background, my mountains are a zigzag line, which means my lines are gonna zigzag now. So remember, whatever kind of line you did, copying that same line. Zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag. Okay, now my land is all done, but my sky is empty. So my sky is what I'm gonna work on next. I'm gonna do the inside part of my sun by adding a few more circles inside. And then I'm gonna look at that outer color. I used orange, and let me show you what this is gonna look like. I'm gonna draw circles that go around and around and around. We call those concentric when our circles are stacked inside each other. Same rules as before. When I run into a line, I just stop. So let's see. Right now, I definitely have room to draw another circle around this one. And remember, if my circles change and get wobbly and bobbly or they run into each other, that is okay. No worries. Now right here, I don't have room for another circle, so I'm gonna imagine where would my circle start? I think it would start about here. I'm gonna curve around and draw a bigger circle. Where would my next circle start? Right about here. Oh, only a little room right there, but where would it keep going? I think it would start about here, go around. Oop, I'm really snugly close to that cloud, but that's okay. Now, as I come down for my next circle, I'm gonna run into that cloud, which means I stop, skip the shape, pick it up on the other side, and keep on going. But when I run into another line, stop, skip it, find where it would start again. Now I'm gonna keep drawing those curved lines. Stop when I hit the cloud, skip it, keep going on the other side. Curve, skip it, keep going until I run into another line. And I'm gonna keep doing that the whole way across. Now the only thing I have left are my clouds. I see some room where I could go add some lines to my clouds, keeping those same lines. You don't have to fill in the whole thing, but I'm using those same jumping lines. Same thing over here. My line landscape is all done. Make sure that you don't add any coloring in because we're gonna do something else to add on to these next week to add more color. Before we clean up, we wanna make sure our name is on our art. Turn it over, write your name on the back. I'll put my name. And then we're all done. Get done early, raise a quiet hand to let the teacher know, and we will bring you some finish up work.